Hello, and welcome to today's web seminar, Continuous Integration for Mobile App QA and Testing, presented by InfoStretch. I'm your host and moderator, Beth Romanek. Thanks for joining us today. Before I hand it off to the speaker, let me explain the controls for this console. The console opens with 3 panels on your screen. All of these can be moved around and resized to your liking. At the bottom of your console is a widget toolbar. Hover your cursor over the icons to see labels for each widget. Through the Additional Resources widget, you can download a PDF of the speaker's slides and share this presentation. If you experience any technical issues, please send a note through the question field beneath the panels and we'll be on hand to help. Our responses can be read in the Q&A panel to the left of the slides. This is also how you'll submit questions. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation, and we'll answer as many as possible during the Q&A session at the end. Finally, to optimize your bandwidth for the best viewing experience possible, please close any unnecessary applications you have running in the background. This event is being recorded and will be made available for on-demand viewing. Once the recording is ready, you'll receive an email with instructions about how to access the presentation and slides on demand. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to our speaker, Harshal Vora.
Thank you, Beth. Good afternoon and good morning to everyone. Thank you again for joining this webinar. Today we are going to talk about continuous integration for mobile app testing, which is a very challenging and upcoming challenge in the world of mobile testing. So just to give a brief overview about InfoStretch, who we are and what we do. We are based in Santa Clara, headquartered in Santa Clara. We have about 700 people, been in the business for about 10 years. We do a lot of mobile testing and mobile application development, including DevOps, since DevOps is going to be an integral part of the application lifecycle management now. In today's webinar, what we are going to talk about is what is CI, what are different tool sets from the mobile perspective are very important to achieve CI, why CI and its value to business, CI implementation and architecture for mobile applications, and then we will talk about mobile cloud solutions and CI, how we can marry the continuous integration tools with mobile cloud, and we'll do a small case study where we have already implemented continuous integration for QA at one of our largest healthcare customers. So let's start with talking about what is CI, right? So CI is basically a software practice in which multiple code bases or isolated code bases are immediately tested and reported on as soon as they are added to the code base. So say if I have my developers working out of 3 or 4 different offices, there is always a continuous challenge how I merge those code bases into one single code base so that I don't have multiple code bases or multiple instances of the same code. And that's where the whole concept of CI came into the picture. And let's go over some of the key principles of CI. And we'll talk about each of the principles. There are like 7 or 8 principles which are very key to achieve CI or continuous integration. And I'm going to use the word continuous integration and continuous deployment interchangeably over here, because CI and CD go hand in hand together in terms of mobile applications. So let's start with the first key principle, which is implementation of a source control system or a revision control system. This is a very important aspect of achieving CI, because there are multiple code bases which need to be aggregated together into a single system. And to achieve this, there are different tool sets available. As you can see, there are different source control systems that can be used to achieve CI, like Git, Subversion, CVS, Stash, which is also part of the Atlassian suite. Now, what this helps us, the revision control system helps us to do, is basically create different versions and revisions of the code so that we know at what instance of time what level of code was checked in, and it helps us to integrate these revision control systems to the CI or continuous integration servers. Now moving forward, the second principle, which is basically getting the build automation. So now whole CI is all about getting automation or achieving automation so that we get all the manual interventions can be reduced, and the build automation is an integral part of the whole CI process. So once a developer checks in a code into a source control system, say like Git or Stash, it needs to be built that an APK file or IPA file for iOS or Android needs to be built, and if that process is not automated, then a lot of time is just consumed over there. So there are build automation processes and tools available out there like Maven, Gradle for iOS, Xcode, and then Spring.io, which is not an open source tool. But these tools can enable us to do a lot of build automation by executing some shell scripting. And it does not require a lot of expertise. It's just shell scripting, and you can use these tools out of the box. Now, once this build is ready to go, we need to get into a CI build tool like say Jenkins or Hudson, Circle CI, Bamboo, TeamCity, which are all integrators of all the different tools that are going to be used for the whole software development life cycle. As I said, as you can see, Jenkins is an open source tool. Circle CI, it is a very up and coming tool which is being used in the industry for continuous integration server. And then Bamboo is part of, again, Atlassian suite to manage the jobs, to create the jobs that will drive my build automation, that will drive my, that will get in the code check-in and get automation of the deployment. So now comes the automation of the deployment, which is, we have seen in the industry has been a big pain point, and we'll talk more about it as we go further. But let's see what kind of tools can be used to do an deployment of my applications, mobile applications, automatically. In terms of web applications, it was pretty easy, but since this has been a mobile application world, it has been a tricky problem to solve. So there have been automation deployment tools like TestFlight, HockeyApp, IBM Urban Core, which are already available. And there are cloud-based tools which already have those integrations for automation of this deployment process. To just name one, Perfecto and Sauce Labs, they already have those integration or those APIs available, which will enable us to, from the CI server, deploy my builds right into my mobile applications, right on my mobile devices, whether it's physical device or emulator or simulator, either or. So it's very important for to achieve CI that whole automation from end to end, once the code is checked in, to the deployment and the testing is taken care of. The other key principle is self-testing the build. So once a build has been built and deployed, there has to be done some amount of unit testing as well as some amount of code quality test, which can be integrated using SonarQube or Fortify kind of tools, which will give us the code quality as well as the security perspective or the static analysis perspective of my code, as well as the test can be written in the JUnit or TestNG or RSpec kind of tools, which will give my reports back to my continuous integration servers, and this all is automated. Then the last and the most important part of the CI, or to achieve CI for mobile apps testing, is testing in a clone to a production environment, automate the user acceptance test, and getting a very important reporting structure or dashboards out of this MyCI tool. So to ensure that we are testing to a clone in the production environment, right, there are a lot of tools available like Chef or Puppet, which will ensure that the servers or the test environments that we build are automated rather than a manual or a static process where my environments are already built, and I have to be reliant on my IT teams to get those servers refreshed every time I start my test. Whereas in a CI, what we want to do is have an automated process where the environments are built as soon as my CI job initiates that these are my tests to be run, regression test or a functional test or a user acceptance test. And those test environments are built dynamically on the fly based on the configurations and the requirements defined during my scripts. And this, so tools like Puppet and Chef enable us to create those virtualization servers for my test environment. Now, another aspect of my testing in a clone to production is going to be a load testing or performance testing. What we have seen is it's very important to use this performance testing tools and integrate them with CI so that at least we can get an idea of how a mobile application is going to perform in terms of a very sustainable load, say might be 200 or 500 users, and tools like Soesta helps us to do that, where we can load up the servers, we can load up the test environment, and then create a certain kind of load on my mobile application and see how does my new build behaves for that. Now, we are going to run through a small poll. I'm sure you are able to see the question on the screen. The first question I would like everyone to get answer to is, what level of CI is already implemented for your organization? And feel free to check all that apply for your organization. The options here are version control. Great, so we already have the answers. Version control, build automation, automated deployment, unit functional test, regression test. As you can see, most of the people are already having version control, build automation. It's still going up. We are still getting the poll results. As you can see now, so most of the people have the version control system and the build automation system. And as I pointed out, the pain point is all automated deployment and the functional test and regression test. And as we progress further, we'll talk more about automated deployment, the regression test, the functional test, how we implement those to achieve this CI. Now the next poll question I would like to get answer to is, what are the main pain points in your current implementation? Automated deployment, minimal automation, false positive results, longer execution time, or the reporting is not structured or is not well defined. So if you all can please, we are starting to get some results for that. Let's see. I see minimal automation is going to be the winner over here. It's most of the people say the automation is very minimal, And for CI, automation is a key aspect of CI. To achieve a strong continuous integration system, we need to have at least 90% of automation from all aspects of the SDLC. So now let's see the results. As you can see the results, 66% say minimal automation. And I do agree with that. We'll talk more about it, how we can achieve maximum automation, how we can reduce the execution times, and how we can get accurate reporting out of my continuous integration tools. And last question I have is, what kind of tools are used to achieve CI for mobile at your organization? Do you use APM and SOS combination, or you use Perfecto Selenium combination, or it's some other which you are already using? And there are a lot of other tools available in the market that can help us to achieve CI on the mobile front. APM SOS combination is a very strong combination, so as is the Perfecto Selenium combination, and we have implemented both of those combinations successfully. In terms of others, there are a lot of open source tools that can be used to achieve automation. And there we need to make a choice whether we want to go with open source tools or we want to go with cloud-based tools, and what are the end goals of my continuous integration system. So now let's move on and let's talk about how the CI is beneficial to an organization, right? Why CI? We all know that mobile apps live and die by the ratings. So say tomorrow my Bank of America Fargo application starts getting some bad reviews, that's going to impact a lot in terms of my user experience, and all of a sudden I will see all of my ratings are going to impact my mobile apps. So to continuously improve and get my apps faster to the market, to get certain, say, my bank of, say for Domino's Pizza. Domino's Pizza has a great mobile application where you can choose your ingredients on the fly for pizza and order your pizza, and your pizza will be delivered within 30 minutes. Whereas on the other hand, Pizza My Hut or Pizza Hut kind of thing, they don't have that kind of great application. So they try to come up with some basic functionality, but my mobile apps will get those reviews faster, and my users are going to ask for certain kind of features. And to get my apps with those new features faster to the market, continuous integration is going to help us to get there, because we'll be testing at every aspect, developing faster, getting the feedback faster to my engineering teams, and getting my apps faster. The second is we are going to be, as I said right initially, it's going to be a commando force where we'll be having multiple developers developing at the same time, and if we don't have a source code management system, then God save us. There will be multiple levels of my code which will be integrated together and might not be correct integration, and so CI is going to be very important for that. And the version control aspect of CI helps us to roll back to my previous version if my new version has some issues with it. Then we are deploying manually between different environments, test environments, production environments. The manual deployment, as we saw in the poll as well, that deployment process is an issue for most of the organizations to achieve CI. And CI, if we get the automation done with the deployment process, then that is going to be a great success for all the organizations. Again, the test environments, as I said, most of the places is static, but CI helps us to create those test environments on the fly with my automation, so that I don't have to rely on a specific test environment or a specific resource to get my test environment up and running. Again, we are stuck in a hot mess of hot fixes. So rather than waiting till late to get my issues fixed, it's very essential for an engineering team to know my issues upfront and reduce my defect leakage into the market. Moving further, what's the value of CI to the business, right? The key benefits are basically we identify the defects earlier, so the early defect detection. Then we know the overall health of the software early enough by establishing continuous testing into automated integration process. We reduce the assumptions because CI gives the chance to replace these assumptions with knowledge, thereby eliminating all cross-platform errors at the development stage. We reduce the overhead, finding a bug at the development stage itself, so that I don't have to invest time and money at the later stage if my bug is found in the QA environment. It brings that quality assurance to the team, and this is the biggest benefit from a customer perspective, right? CI will enable you to release those deployable software at any point in time. In absence of CI, projects are prone to be delayed and releases because of some deployment issues. It enables the project visibility, right? Because since the integration occurs frequently, it provides the opportunity to notice the trends and make informed decisions. Noticing the trends in build success or failure, for example, say I am creating 500 builds, and out of those 500 builds, only my 100 builds are qualified to even go to my user acceptance testing, then that's a great achievement which CI will get to you. Because of your automation testing, your smoke testing, unit testing will give feedback faster to the engineering team and let them and bring them on the floor early enough so that they can fix those issues and get that project visibility into the CI servers. Now let's see what a CI/CD process would look like. So as you can see, right, there are 6 different verticals according to CI/CD process. To achieve this CI continuous deployment process, a delivery team is very important for any aspect, right? Then there is version control system, build and unit test. Then we have automated acceptance test, as well as user acceptance test and releases. So as you can see, once the delivery team starts checking in the code into, say, a version control system like Guild or SVN, my CI/CD server will start getting those basic check-ins into the server, and based on those check-ins, I will create a job to instantiate my build automation. So I will create those build automation and unit tests, and say in that first step itself, I fail to create a build and it fails to pass even the unit test, then it gives my engineering team feedback right away that yeah, it's not passing this initial criteria of my build and unit test. So I basically save time by save time on QA, that they are not testing on not qualified builds or unqualified builds, and they get more time to basically automate for their future engagement, and it gives more time to the delivery team to fix their issues early enough and get their code check-ins faster. Usually we have seen is the code check-ins are every 4 hours, or maybe at every code change they do code check-ins. So it gives a confidence to the engineering team as well that any change that they make early enough are good to go and make a build and pass the unit test. And that's a very important aspect of build and unit test that you see here. Now say once my build and unit tests are passed, I have a smoke or acceptance test that needs to be passed and which is automated from the QA perspective. And the QA team and software quality team is going to own that aspect of automation and write certain smoke test case scenarios that will be taken care of at that stage. If my certain smoke tests are going to fail, then it will again get back to my engineering team and give them that report that these are some issues which are not working properly, or this cannot go to the production environment because of these issues. So again, as you can see, this is pretty early on in the game that I get my issues identified, as we saw, early defect detection, and it gives a better project visibility. And the user acceptance test or the regression test can also be part of before it goes to the go live production. Now, how do I get to this CI/CD process, right? What are the different stages to get to this CI/CD project? So the approach that we have taken here at InfoStretch to have a jumpstart program where within 2 to 3 months we get to this CI/CD process and help organizations reduce their execution times, get the applications faster to the market. So we have basically this jumpstart program is divided into 3 phases, where the initial phase is about reviewing what are the requirements, understanding the expectations from different stakeholders like the engineering team, QA team, release automation team, and understanding the different strategies. What is the strategy for qualifying the builds for production and maintenance release cycle? Understanding the different dependencies. So the whole review cycle is to strategize and come up with some kind of policies or some kind of tool sets that can be implemented during the definition and deployment phase. So the definition and deployment phase is usually it spans from 4 to 6 weeks. And herein we define that what kind of different CI tool sets, as we discussed earlier, that based on the organizational structure, how we can leverage those existing CI tools with, do we want to go with cloud-based devices, do we want to go with real devices, do we want to go with emulators, those kind of definitions will be defined in here. How often do my regression test run, how often does my user acceptance test run, do I run on nightly builds, those kind of things are defined. The whole CI flow is designed during this definition phase. We define the automation framework, say we want to go with Appium, we want to go with Selenium, we want to go with Robotium. Those kind of automation frameworks are defined, and then during the deployment phase, we start executing on those based on those frameworks. We start creating certain smoke tests that can be included as part of this whole CI process. So at the end of the 3-month period, we get a good CI process implemented, which can be taken to my production environment. Now, how would a CI/CD architecture using the mobile cloud look like, right? So as we said, there is a source control system, like developers will be checking their code into Git or SVN, and that will be initiating a job into my CI server like Jenkins, which will create some builds for me. So as you can see, there is daily builds or nightly builds. Then there is a build created on push of code from my Git or Stash, and we test on the push. So for this initial phase, for unit testing, we can just test on emulators or iOS and Android simulators, right? And once those unit tests or my build test pass, I can take it to my automated acceptance test and use my cloud-based tools like, say, Perfecto or Synchro or Soft Labs or Mobile Labs and test on real devices in real environments. And get my results back to my CI server and get those reporting, which will give me exact idea of how my tests have done, how is my new build, does it pass all the aspects of features, does my new features work fine, everything will be taken care of in this dashboard and reporting structure. We define those reporting structure based on the different skill sets and the requirements defined by various teams. So how we can use this CI tools and mobile cloud? Why we should go with mobile cloud integration? What we have seen is these are some of the benefits of harnessing CI and cloud. There are mobile ready plugins. So most of these cloud-based tools like Perfecto and Sauce, they already have plugins for my Jenkins or Jira kind of tools. So it's just easy for me to plug and play this tool into my existing infrastructure. It gives us an unlimited scalability and elasticity to test on various devices on iOS as well as Android. So I don't have to invest into real devices. I can use this cloud-based tools which are hosting these devices for me and deploy my applications using my CI jobs on these cloud-based tools. So I get a whole lot idea of what's going on my application for multiple devices rather than just on one or two devices. It helps us to leverage the existing infrastructure and assets within organizations. Say suppose I have already an established Atlassian suite where I'm using Jira, I am Jira for defect management as well as my sprint planning. Then there are tools like Bamboo and Stash which will help me integrate the whole CI with the mobile cloud like Perfecto, and they have a strong integration with these existing tools. So I don't have to reinvest into getting new tools for my CI system, but these mobile clouds already have those integration with existing CI-based tools. I enhance my mobile workflow or CI workflow excuse me, using the real user conditions. Like I want to deploy on my applications to test on, say, AT&T network. What happens on AT&T network? What happens on T-Mobile network? Those kind of real-based user conditions can be created, as well as some non-functional testing can be created. That what happens on my on my application when a phone call comes in. And those kind of things can be done using these cloud-based devices. Another good factor is on-demand availability, that I can test, say, around the clock. Once my 8-hour day is over, I can schedule these jobs to run on these cloud-based devices, and we don't have to worry about those devices are on or off. Just to schedule those things, and those devices will be available on demand. Faster issue resolution, because these cloud-based tools have a strong reporting structure with screenshots, video captures, as well as detailed console logs. So what are the different factors which are important to select those cloud-based tools, right? As I said, on-demand cloud, automation support, and integration with the support systems, which is basically the existing system. So, as you can see, the automation support is a very important aspect. Perfecto supports Selenium automation support, as well as they are coming out with APM support, whereas SOS supports APM, Selenium, and this gives me a flexibility of writing my automation framework only for one platform, and that can be ported to multiple platforms for iOS as well as Android. And to achieve CI, automation is a very important aspect. So let's go to the case study that we did for a leading healthcare provider in the Bay Area, right? What are the basic challenges that they were facing, right? As we saw in the poll results as well, slow automation execution time, which was about 22 minutes per test case. Sequential execution on the devices rather than a parallel execution, so longer execution times again. Lots of test data dependencies, and the scripts automated were already utilized in regression cycles, and no framework. There was no framework established. So for iOS or Android, I didn't have a single framework which will enable me to port my scripts to both the platforms. What we did is we recommended best practices for automating the native as well as web app using Perfecto Cloud. We collaborated with their existing teams. We integrated the whole Perfecto Cloud automation with their existing infrastructure like HP ALM. And the benefits were, as you can see, we optimized the automation execution time to 8 to 10 minutes, which is, we reduced it by 50%. So faster execution time, parallel executions rather than all the sequential execution. Then we utilized the automation scripts in different release cycles. So within the 2-3 times per week average, 1,200 test cases executed in each cycle. Within 2 months, we automated about 400 test cases, which is a big number if you look at it. And it gives a confidence as an engineering team or as a product management team to me that, yes, my product looks solid, even if I have some issues, but those issues can be resolved over a period of time. And this was the whole architecture that was used for, as you can see, the whole CI system. Jenkins is my CI server, which is controlling different aspects of my toolchain, which is Quality Center, which is from the test case management, automation management, and Selenium test scripts, creating VMs, virtual machines for my test environments, creating or getting access to my on-demand devices from the Perfecto Cloud, and all this is automated using shell scripts as well as already established scripting tools. Thank you for your time, and now we are open for Q&A. So please go ahead and type in your questions in the Q&A module available.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll get through as many questions as we can right now. The first question from the audience is, are CI and DevOps synonymous? How is CI different from an agile sprint where Dev and QA coexist?
Sure, thanks. So CI and DevOps. So DevOps is not a tool, is not a methodology. CI is also not a tool, not a methodology, right? And CI is part of DevOps. In the mobile world, I would say it's an interchangeable word, and CI is integral part of DevOps. To achieve my DevOps development and operations, CI is very essential, and automation is going to take us through DevOps processes as well as the CI processes.
Okay, thanks. Next question, how much effort was required to integrate Jenkins with Quality Center?
So that's a good question, right? Since we have already worked with Jenkins as well as Quality Center for a long period of time, it was a very easy process for us to integrate the Jenkins and Quality Center. I would say within our definition phase, initial phase itself, we were able to integrate Jenkins and Quality Center based on the requirements within 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. What is the right level of test automation for CI?
That's the burning question that everyone wants to answer and want to know. CI, to achieve CI, there are different levels of automation. Automation is required at every aspect of CI, from build automation to deploying the build to testing, smoke testing. And what we recommend usually is to at least do build automation, deploying the builds automatically, and getting to certain degree of smoke automation, smoke test automation. And if you have a maturity level, then the regression test automation is a very integral part of test automation.
All right, thank you. Next question. What are the main challenges for implementing CI for mobile apps?
As we see, as we saw in our poll results as well, right? The main challenges are minimal automation because of lack of automation framework, deployment challenges, test environment challenges, and the reporting challenges. Since there are multiple tools that are involved in achieving CI for mobile devices, it's very hard to integrate all those tool sets or this whole tool chain together for my mobile devices. And I see these three aspects, the deployment, the automation, and lack of automation framework, main challenges to achieving CI for mobile apps.
All right, thanks for that. All right, this person says, in my company, we have static test environments. Is it advisable for us to build test environments as part of CI? Yes,
that is very important that, and we talked about as well, right, that it is very important that instead of static environment, you can use those static environments, but if we use the dynamic environments, it's going to be beneficial to the whole organization because those production environments or test environments or dev environments will be built on the fly based on the needs and will give my accurate results for my CI as well as for my mobile app automation.
Okay, thanks. This person wants to know, how many devices or simulators do you recommend for the different test phases, such as build acceptance testing, unit testing, smoke, functional, regression testing, etc.?
Sure. And that's a good question. At build and unit test, we usually recommend to test it on emulators or simulators. For each, I'll take iOS one simulator, or Android, I'll take one simulator for a unit test and my build test. Once we move to the smoke test, I would like to make sure that my application is running successfully for at least multiple OEMs for Android. So I would test on real devices, execute it on multiple OEMs and multiple display sizes. So for smoke test, I would say at least 3 Android devices and 2 iOS devices. And going further for the functional test and the regression test, so the regression test is a very important part that that can be run on. So right now we are for this healthcare company, we have implemented the regression suite for 20 Android devices and 10 iOS devices.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thanks. Next question. Per your experience, is QTP a good option for CI for mobile apps?
It's a yes and a no. So QDP has changed its name to UFT now, and UFT is strongly support. So if you already have the tool chain established for HP Quality Center, then HP UFT, along with say Perfecto or Mobile Labs kind of cloud solution, is a good option. And if you don't have any automation framework already established, then APM gives us a very good exposure or a good automation framework which can be leveraged for both the platforms.
Okay, thanks. This person says, we use Appium plus Jenkins or Travis to execute mobile automation. Do you have any recommendations for creating valuable reporting from Appium test executions?
Yes, so that's a very good question. So for reporting from the Appium test execution, right, is dependent on what kind. What kind of reports I would like to see from my test execution is the module-based execution, as well as all the test device-based execution. So say if I'm running my application on multiple devices using my Appium framework, and I would like to see how my application fared on iOS devices, how did it fare on Android devices, and what modules or what functionality within my application was leveraged. So basically, I'll structure my reporting based on my modules and devices.
Okay, we've got another question about Quick Test Professional. This person asks, is QTP better to use than TFS or Team Foundation Server for CI?
So that's again very specific to the needs and requirements. So QDP as well as TFS, they both are pretty good and they have very good integration with existing tool sets available. So it's very specific to the requirements and application, what tools to go with, TFS or QDP.
Okay, thanks. Well, it looks like those are all the questions in from the audience, so that will end our event for today. I'd like to thank our speaker, Harshal Vora, for his time, and I'd like to thank InfoStretch for sponsoring this web seminar. And a special thank you goes out to you, the audience, for spending this time with us. Have a great day, and we hope to see you at a future event.
All right, thank you, everyone.